Hey everybody, it's Larry with Leading Edge Industrial. Last time we did our video, I realized that we didn't talk about leading edge. We talked about the CEI tech side of things, our business end side of things, but we didn't talk about the machine side of things and why we developed that. And it goes back to 2002 when I opened up my first machine shop. I read an article by Leno called Calling All Machinists. And in the article, Jay talks about not being able to find American machinists who could manufacture parts the way that he needed them manufactured for his cars. It's a great article, and we should link to it here in the video here. But basically what the gist is the machines that were all used to do these parts that he had for his cars were shipped overseas, and the guys who knew how to run them had all retired. Nobody was coming up into the field and taking their positions, so it made sense for the companies to just send them all overseas, and I believe Germany's where they mostly ended up. This got me thinking, as well as while starting my first company, I really had a steep learning curve. So I thought it'd be great to have a machine to learn on or a place to go and find information on it, because this is back in the day. There was no, there was no YouTube. There wasn't anything other than books that you could find, on the shelf or at old garage sales type thing. So I started thinking about it. In 2005, I came back to Lafayette, Indiana, and started doing manufacturing for another company. And during that time, I started formulating a plan for these little CNC machines, or the desktop size machines that we have. In 2006, I wrote my original business plan and bounced ideas off of people for the next 2 years, where I was able to completely develop that into like a 15 or 20 page plan. And I sat on it for the next 6 years because during that time I was doing really good at my day job and working a lot of overtime with them. And it wasn't until I started my own manufacturing. I actually lost that day job due to sequestration, and it wasn't until then that I started looking at doing this as a business while running my product development design company. The scope of Leading Edge Industrial is to design affordable, portable, and capable CNC machines. And the affordable part, that makes sense to everybody. Schools don't have the budgets that they used to have. In many cases, the budgets for career and technical education has completely gone to the side. So they don't, $5,000 is still a bit for them to spend. However, it's not on the extreme range of a $50,000 CNC machine. So my goal was always to get a smaller machine, and the only difference between our machines and the machine that we use to produce our parts is size. Our machine will do everything that machine will do. Maybe not as fast, it's about half as fast. My machine out there will do about 250 inches a minute in rapids. Ours does 105. So there is a bit difference on there, but outside of that, that my whole idea was that we take an industry machine, we scale it down, but everything else still applies. Because if it doesn't, then what you're teaching students in class doesn't apply on the shop floor. So on top of that, I tell people all the time, our machines aren't unique. We can't really patent anything on here because there's nothing patentable. It's been around for years. The concept isn't unique of selling CNC machines, because people have been doing that for way longer than I've been in business. But what makes us unique is most of those companies, where I think they all fall apart and where they lose their customers, are the support end of things. Typically you sell a machine or you buy a machine, and it's like, all right, you're on your own, good luck, wish you the best. There's no help in the form of technical support. You may have an idea of how to make your part, but if you're not a machinist or you're not into learning all about that, or even designing other parts, many people buy the machine for one part. They get done with that part, and now they've got a machine sitting in the corner they'll never use again. So I wanted to be able to develop a website and a business that we could do not only the machines, but the curriculum behind it. Maybe not the entire curriculum that you would use for a semester, but the curriculum you could use, things like reading a micrometer, reading a caliper, how to design a part with proper fits and clearances, all of these little different topics that are maybe, 3 to 5 minute videos, that you could use in your classrooms. So that's where we're trying to go from there, is give you short bursts of information that you can come back and visit anytime, as well as some of the longer things like our tutorials, our CAD CAM tutorials. Some of those are just to do the CAD side are 15 to 20 minutes long. The CAM side, the same thing. And then the machining side, we speed it up a little bit, but it's, all three of those videos really condense the project down where you can go through and get bite-sized information and learn from each and every one of them. So our goal was to develop these machines and give you the technical support on the end. With our machines, I tell everybody you can tear them down in 45 minutes and you can rebuild them in 45 minutes. There's really nothing terribly complicated on it. And I did that intentionally. Two reasons. One, we already know and we've established that the schools don't have the budgets that they used to have. So they've got to be able to either repair it, get the parts cheaply and repair it themselves, or have somebody come in and repair it for them that's not going to charge them an arm and a leg. So, and you also have, in the case of a school down the road from us here, there was a student 2 years ago when they bought our machines, out of the 10 kids that he had in the class, he had 9 that were interested in machining and 1 that just all he wanted to do was the maintenance side of things. So we're not only having the problem on the manufacturing side, we're also having problems on nobody taking the jobs on the maintenance side. So that leaves another vacuum there. And really the whole idea behind this was myself and my business partner started this because we both own manufacturing companies. It's hard to find trained people or trainable people. So when I brought him the idea, he said, this is fantastic. I have no shortage of resumes and no shortage of people applying for jobs. I have a shortage of trainable people. So we decided, since nobody else was doing it at the time, that we would jump in and we would create these machines and this technical background that you could rely on. So that's where Leading Edge is right now. We're constantly in refinement, and over the next couple of episodes, we're going to go through the CAD design, the machining side of things. We're going to go through the electronics side of things as well as programming. And we're also going to show you a little bit of the marketing side. We've been in talks lately with a bunch of distributors. So how does that work and how does that fit in, and whether or not it's the right move for us to do. All of that we're going to establish, and we'll walk you through it. And hopefully you enjoy seeing some of the things behind the scenes here as we go through and talk about all these individual points, because it's not just as simple as coming up with an idea and tomorrow you've got it. Many times that you come up with an idea and you spend days and hours doing the design of it only to realize that design won't work. So you have to scrap 60% of it and redo new stuff. So I want to show you those pitfalls that we've got and that we've run into here recently. So that does it for this episode, and I hope you come back and check in with us. We're going to start going behind the scenes here in the future, as we alluded to. So click like and subscribe below, and we'll see you on the next one.